With Intel Centrino mobile technology and the FIC MB02 build-to-order notebook, meeting your customers' mobile computing needs is simple. The ability to easily change the hard drive, memory configuration, optical drive, wireless solution, and even the processor gives the integrator the ability to customize the notebook for a variety of configurations. The objective of this presentation is to guide the integrator through each step of the disassembly and assembly process. Before starting, let's highlight the required tools. First, it's good to have a compartmentalized box for keeping screws and small parts. By keeping the parts for each item separate, reassembly is much easier. A small Phillips head screwdriver will be the primary tool used. Size aught or double-aught works well. A small flathead screwdriver will be needed for slotted screws and for manipulating small connectors. To get to parts in tight places, a pair of needle nose pliers works well. And whenever working on electronics, precaution should be taken, such as wearing an anti-static wristband. Before beginning any integration work on a notebook computer, be sure to disconnect all power sources. To disconnect the AC adapter, simply pull out the power connector located on the rear of the notebook. Then, to remove the battery, turn the notebook over. Slide the battery locking switch to the open position and lift the battery out and away. With the notebook's base facing up, the hard drive can be removed. The hard drive is located under the cover, secured with 4 screws. Remove the screws and lift away the cover. Next, grasp the hard drive by the plastic tabs and tilt up the connector side. With the connector exposed, grip the bail and carefully work the connector free. The hard drive can now be completely removed. To gain access to the other components, the keyboard must be removed. It is held in place by these 4 screws. The first is shared with the hard drive cover, so in this case, there are 3 remaining screws to remove. Note that the screws vary in length. With the keyboard screws removed, flip the computer over and open the lid. Before the keyboard can be removed, the function cover needs to be taken off. To do this, gently lift the cover along its length and it will snap free. Carefully lift the keyboard up to expose the ribbon cable. To free this cable, use a small slotted screwdriver on the connector to tilt the locking mechanism up, releasing the cable. The keyboard can now be removed along with the felt pad beneath. This will reveal the optical drive cover. This cover is secured by 2 screws. After the screws are removed, the optical drive can be slid out of place. Removing the optical drive cover also reveals the remaining components to be disassembled. These are the processor and thermal solution, the system memory, and the wireless mini PCI adapter. The Intel Pro Wireless 2100 mini PCI adapter is held in place by 2 spring clips, 1 on each side. There are also 2 antenna leads connected to the adapter. Note that they are color-coded and labeled. The black lead is labeled M, which connects to the contact labeled Main on the adapter, and the gray lead is labeled A, which connects to the auxiliary contact. Before removing the wireless mini PCI adapter, the touchpad ribbon cable must first be disconnected. This is done by lifting the outside of the connector until the cable is free. Next, remove the antenna leads by gently snapping the leads up and off the connectors. To release the wireless adapter, just push the spring clips out away from the adapter and it will pop up. It can now be carefully lifted out of the socket at about a 45-degree angle. Just above the wireless adapter are the system memory sockets. They can hold up to 2 memory modules. In this case, only one is installed. The memory modules are secured by spring clips. To remove the module, pull apart the clips and the module will pop up. Using both hands, carefully lift the module away from the socket at the same angle it is sitting. The FIC MB02 notebook computer supports the Intel Pentium M processor. To access the processor for custom integrations and upgrades, the thermal solution must first be removed. This thermal solution is secured by 4 screws surrounding the processor, along with a power connector. When removing these screws, note the numbering sequence marked on the heatsink and remove the screws in this order. When the screws are out, the entire thermal solution can be partially slid out, making it easier to remove the power connector. With the thermal solution clear, the processor can now be removed. Simply insert a slotted screwdriver into the socket's locking screw and turn it 180 degrees counterclockwise. This will unlock the processor so that it can be lifted straight up and out of the socket. Be careful not to bend any of the pins when removing the processor. This completes the disassembly of the key components for this computer. The integration of the FIC MB02 notebook will begin with the installation of the Intel Pentium M processor and thermal solution. First, confirm that the processor socket is in the unlock position. Next, line up the key marker on the processor with the keyed corner of the socket. Gently drop the processor into the socket, and when it's in place, push down to seat it firmly. Using the slotted screwdriver, turn the locking screw 180 degrees clockwise to lock the processor in place. Before sliding the thermal solution in place, connect its power cable. Then, guide the thermal solution unit into place, lining up the 4 screw holes surrounding the processor. Install the 4 mounting screws according to the tightening sequence marked on the thermal solution. When everything is in place, tuck the power cable in and out of the way. In the MB02 notebook, system memory can be installed in either or both of the 2 memory sockets. To install the modules, slide the module into the socket at about 45 degrees, noting that the notched and keyed portions are aligned. Make sure that the memory module is fully seated. Then push down on the module until it locks into the spring clips on either side. The installation of the Intel Pro Wireless 2100 Mini PCI adapter is similar to the installation of the memory modules. Slide the adapter into the socket at an angle. When the adapter is fully seated, push down on the top edge to lock it into place. Next, the 2 antenna leads need to be connected. Noting the marking on the adapter, line up the black lead labeled M with the connector labeled Main on the adapter, and push down to snap the lead into place. Then, do the same with the gray lead labeled A with the auxiliary connector on the adapter. After the wireless adapter is installed, replace the touchpad ribbon cable. Slide the ribbon cable into the connector and secure it by pushing down on the locking tab. Next, install the optical drive and cover. For the drive, just slide it into place. After it's in all the way, place the optical drive cover in place and install the 2 screws. One of the 2 screws will secure the optical drive in place. After all the components are installed, the keyboard can be replaced. First, lay the felt pad in place. Then position the keyboard so that its ribbon cable is aligned with the connector. Insert the cable into the open connector. Then push the locking tab down into the locked position. When the cable is secure, lay the keyboard in place. Finally, install the function cover by snapping it into place. With the topside integration complete, close the lid and turn the notebook over. From the bottom side of the notebook, install 3 of the 4 keyboard screws. The screws are different lengths, so make sure each is installed in the correct location. Leave the 4th screw for the next step, the hard drive installation. To install the hard drive, slide the end of the drive opposite the connector into place. Then, with the connector end raised, attach the cable to the drive connector. When it is fully seated, lower the drive into place, with the bail neatly tucked out of the way. With the drive in place, replace the drive cover and install the 4 screws, one of which is shared with the keyboard. Now that all the components are installed, replace the battery to complete the integration of the FIC MB02 notebook computer. By following these simple steps, integrators can build custom notebooks which offer the performance, flexibility, and freedom of Intel Centrino mobile technology.